The Childhood of Jesus, chapter 199. The universal significance of the Lord's descent. When Joseph heard this from the little child, he said, "O my little Son of God, I have indeed understood you in my heart, but I must confess that you did not make me a pleasant prediction there. For if the greatest part of mankind will remain pagans and worshippers of idols after you as they did before you, for what purpose is such degradation of your infinite eternal holiness? Do you want to help only a few? Why not all?" Here the little child answered, "Oh, Joseph, you really ask a lot of vain questions. Have you never looked at the starry heavens? See, each star which you behold is a world, is an earth upon which free human beings live as they do here. And there are countless numbers which no mortal eye has seen, and behold, this my descent to earth is meant for them all. But the how and why you will only be given to see in my kingdom in greatest clarity. So do not be surprised that I have made such a prediction to you concerning the inhabitants of this world. For I have inhabited worlds without end and number, and all these innumerable and endless hosts have need of this my descent, and have need of it because my own eternal order needs it, from which this earth as well as all others without number and end have gone forth. For matters will indeed come to pass on the earth as I have foretold you, but for all that the eternally holy purpose of this my descent will not be in vain. See, all these countless worlds, suns and earths have their causes, and these likewise have directions in infinite numbers. Everywhere there are other laws, and everywhere another order, but ultimately they all still harmonize in my one fundamental order and correspond to the one grand central purpose, as do the limbs of the body and their functions. And behold, thus it ultimately will also be with the children of the earth. And at some future time, when they are in the Spirit, they will all recognize that there is only one God, one Lord, one Father, and only one perfect life in Him. But how and when? That remains with Him who now told you about it. For many winds must first blow over the surface of the earth, and much water fall down from heaven, and a great quantity of wood burned before it can be said, "Behold, now there is one flock, and one shepherd, one God, and only one man from innumerable hosts, one Father and one Son, in and from the numberless hosts." These words of the little child made the hairs of Cyrenius, Jonathan, as well as Joseph stand on end. And Joseph protested, "O little child, your words are becoming more and more incomprehensible, amazing, and truly terrible. Who can grasp that infinite depth? Therefore speak with us according to our understanding, otherwise we perish at such depth of your speech." Here the little child smiled and replied, "See, Joseph, today I am in an especially communicative mood to reveal things to you at which you should all shudder, and you shall all fully realize therefrom that the perfect Lord of eternity is in fact at home in me and now lives among you. And so hear me out. Chapter 200. The child foretells the crucifixion and resurrection. And the little child continued, "Joseph, what will you say if the children of the world will one day seize and kill the Lord with the help of Satan? When they will seize him like one sees a murderous robber, and will drag him before the tribunal of the world, where the spirit of hell has its way. And this tribunal will have the Lord of all glory fastened to the cross. What do you say to that? When it will be done with him as the prophets, whose words are well known to you, have foretold of him. What do you say to that?" When the three heard this from the little child, they were filled with a great fear, and Joseph exclaimed vehemently, My Jesus, my little Son of God, truly, may that never happen to you of all people. The hand which would ever violate you shall be cursed forever, and its bearer's soul shall do penance for its outrage eternally in the greatest possible torment. And Cyrenius, along with Jonathan, also joined with Joseph and declared, Yes, if such could possibly ever happen, of an eternal truth I will, beginning today, become the most cruel tyrant. Twice 100,000 of the most baptized warriors are under my command. Only one knot is required of me, and death and destruction shall be brought to all the world. Before an impudent devil of a man shall lay this satanic hands on this child, I will rather have all the people on the whole earth done away with. Here the little child smiled and said, Then your warriors will still remain, and who will dispose of these? See, my dear Cyrenius, whoever knows what he is doing and does wrong, he commits sin and is a doer of evil. But whoever does not know what he is doing and then does wrong, it shall be forgiven him, for he did not really know what he was doing. Only if someone well knew what he was doing and would do no wrong of himself, but nevertheless does not resist when he is forced and then does wrong, he is a slave of hell and pulls the judgment down on his own head. For hell well knows that it is easier to deal with blind instruments than with those that see, for which reason it constantly keeps these blind slaves in their pay. And these very blind slaves are the ones who will fasten the Lord of glory to a cross. And how will you punish a blind man because he struck his foot against something on the road and fell and broke his arms and legs? So just take good care to stay right at home with your power, which would so much more harm than good on the earth. And be assured that he whom men will kill according to the flesh in their blindness will not be killed in spirit and in his power, but will quickly arise again out of his own strength and power, and in this way alone open the way to eternal life for all creatures. In the meantime, the vehement tone of Cyrenius had drawn the group around Talia over to the little group in the side room. But the little child sent them back and said, Go about your business, for what goes on here is not for you who are blind. And the group thereupon withdrew. Chapter 201. A prediction for the followers of Jesus. Mary, Eudokia, and James were also among those who were told to leave. But Mary nevertheless went in, and Eudokia and James followed her. And Mary bent down to the little child and said, Listen, my little son, you are really being terribly strict. If you already turn me away from the door now, what will you do with me when you become a man? See, you must not be that strict with her, who carried you under her heart with great fear and much suffering. Hereupon the little child looked at Mary in an indeed loving but also earnest way and asked, How is it that you call me your little son? Do you not recall what the angel said to you? How shall you call that which was born of you? See, the angel said, And what will be born of you will be called God's Son, the Son of the Most High. Since it certainly was that way and not otherwise, how then do you call me your little son? And if I were your son, you would concern yourself more with me than with Talia. But since I am not your son, it follows that Talia is closer to your heart than I. If I play around outside somewhere and then come back in through the door, not a soul meets me with a flaming heart, and I'm just like the daily bread for the hired men and maidservants, and no one spreads out his arms to me. But when some gossip comes here from town, she is immediately received with all honors, and so it is now with the foolish Talia, who received her life from me. You practically crawl to her with all the attention you give her. Me, the giver of life, you hardly notice. Now tell me, is that right? Am I not more than some stupid city gossip, and not more than Talia? Oh, rejoice, all of you, who will one day be my followers and servants, for as it now happens to me, so will it also happen to you. Your patrons put you in a corner with the garbage when they are visited by their gossip brothers and gossip sisters." These words went deep into Mary's heart, and thereafter she paid close attention to them.